Hello and welcome to the Values Workshop, Shabrin. Um, it's a joy to have you because you are one of the few rare guests who actually said, "I want to be on the podcast" before I could ask you to come as a guest. This happens very rarely to me. Most of the time, I am chasing people. So I'm very glad to have you as a guest. Uh, we've had a brief chat before we started recording, where
Yeah,
you have mentioned that you are a designer. And the
yeah,
series, this series is the other side of. So most of the time we spend a lot of time at work. So what I want to pursue within this series is challenges that we face at work regarding values or
hmm,
everyday things that happen to us. But it's an open-ended chat. It can go anywhere where both of us decide to talk about any subject. So welcome on the show.
thank you for having me.
Yes, and so my first question to you is prompted by the hardly 2 minute chat that we had before we began this. You are a designer who works on interiors. So, why is there a difference between a designer and an interior designer for you in your mind?
See, so when, like as a person of nature, I don't like to be, put in a box. Like, when people say, obviously interior designer is your bread and butter in the end, you have learned it. But, in that also, I don't like, just, but then I've always been a person who want to design anything and everything. I don't want to be one of those interior designer who says, I only going to design this flat, I don't do this, I don't do that. So whenever if you go and see the past project I have done, I've been very enthused to design light, carpet, bed sheet, bed cover, cushion, you name it, I want to design it because I just want to be a designer. Like there is no like requirement, oh, I need to get a light designer on board. Why? Because I want to design. Like, no, you can just design it. Like, and like recently one of my friend got married. So I'm like, okay, I want to be an event and now I want to learn how you do it. Like, and then tomorrow, if I want to become a fashion designer, I want to learn. Like I feel like if you want to grow, you want to learn. It's better to call yourself a designer and not like put yourself in a shell and be like, oh, I only do like residential. So I've always been a person who are always open to design anything and everything. Like
Okay,
I just want to be a designer.
I like that. So, what does design mean to you? What does it fulfill inside you, according to you?
For me, it always brings joy in a sense, like when like how people get that creative. You need to feed yourself, as you need food to live, you need your passion. For me, that's design. Like, for me, if a day go by and I don't think something creatively, or I put myself in a sense of, some reading or learning about design, I don't feel my day would be complete. So for me, design is a way of me expressing myself. And I don't mean like, I want to, like, design the most high fundu thing or, like the most creative or expensive thing. For me, design is simple. If it brings you joy, it satisfies your creative thing, it's design. So for me, design is everywhere. You can see me uh, getting inspired from road, you can see me getting inspired from some fashion outfit I see online. It can be anything and I be like, okay, I'm inspired to do this. Oh, I can make a light out of it. Oh, I can do a carpet out of it. So for me, design is everywhere. It's just the way you look at it and perceive it.
Okay. When did you first realize that your calling is in design? Was there a time when you were not into design?
Yeah, so I think it was like my those 10 standard when you are struggling when people are asking you art, commerce, science. Like now, so it's more, but it's always at least the time I come from, it's always been, oh, you are doing science and you're becoming like doctor or you're becoming engineer or something. Oh, you're doing commerce, then it's for sure bank. Or if you're doing arts, so it's like I don't know what she's becoming. So for me, it's always like that. I have two brother who has done one has done science, didn't do great at it, and then switched to commerce, and one has always done commerce. I have never been a person of I believe in practical education and practical learning. I don't believe in book learning or book knowledge. I think it really don't give you anything in life. in 10th standard, when you do those intermediate and your those elementary classes, that's when I realized, oh, I really enjoy doing it. And that's when I started getting exposed to fashion, because you start learning about it online. Social media became a thing. And honestly, I do feel social media worked for me, in a sense, in a plus point for me to understand my calling, because I started understanding culture of blogger, influencer at that time, like past 7, 8 years back. It was not big in India, the blogger or the influencer field. So that's how I understood. Oh, I enjoy designing. I am not a book person, and from that day onwards, I knew like I want to do something in design. Initially, I wanted to do fashion designing, but then I switched to interior.
Okay. Um, this is a random question. I'm trying to make it up as I go along. So, when creative people talk to each other, like you and I are talking to each other, there is a certain sense of vibe that I am enjoying because I have been a creative person. I am a creative person. So, a writer, artist, that kind of connection is
Mm.
there. But is there any connection in terms of uh, art brings joy to life? You said, and I believe as much. But has there been something which is off the cuff, which is you've used design to touch a human heart where uh, so for example, interiors is mainly about when people want to dress up their homes and they need a certain kind of look feel to it.
Correct.
So they are already happy. They are already in the happy zone. But I want to know if there is somebody who's in the normal zone or some such thing where they're sad or maybe just okay, and you have delighted them with your use of art in some way. Is there any such example that has ever happened to you?
So yeah, so there was this one of the client we did the house in Bombay itself. So they are like young couple, and it just that in their house there is one big huge wall, and then as a designer you always want to put an art, but in India specifically, it becomes a very tricky point for people to understand art. You know, so I learned this. One day someone told me like as a designer, if this color is working for you, just take it and put it. Don't try to rebel, don't try to explain art, because art is something for people. If you like it, you will buy it, doesn't matter the cost or anything. So in being an admin person I am, in terms of the design sense ki, oh no, it's not going to work or not going to, because it was my first project, and I love curating anything and everything. And whenever I saw the wall, I knew it has to be something personal. So in that sense, the client had a deadline because the wife was due. So he's like,
Okay.
I just don't want that only. Just forget it. It's not my big of the concern. Just give me the house. He just got really frustrated out of me, and he's like, forget everything. Just give me the house. My wife is in labor. You give me the house. We need to come and stay. Your creative thing, great, kudos, but I don't need it right now. Just give me the house. And like he said it in a way we obviously understand the urgency of the house. So we said okay, and me, I went back and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna give them this artwork, whichever I wanted, because the client was so angry on the deadline. He told me one thing: you bring me anything, I'm gonna burn it. Exact word. He was so aggressive. He said, you bring me anything, I will burn it. I said okay, like whatever. And then went back. Obviously month went into making of that artwork. We made like this 3 series artwork. It was like interpretation of their own house from our ways into those geometric and forms, and we did in the most delightful color they ever liked, the pastel green. We made it. They had the housewarming party after the child, obviously, once she settled down and everything, and I decided to give them that. And he's like, Are you made it? And obviously he didn't react because the conversation has passed. And after I think 15 days passed by, we installed the artwork and everything. He couldn't understood it for like good 10 days. He's like, okay, abhi de diya to laga deta hu. 15 days or 20 days passed by, he messaged saying, I think that wall in my house would have been incomplete without that particular installation, because the more I see it now daily in my daily life, it brings me joy. It brings me the thought. the efforts, the fight, the argument, and the fact that I told you I'm gonna burn it, you still went ahead, made it, and put it, and I'm in like love with it. And every human come in my house, first question they ask is, "ये artwork कहाँ से लिया है?" So for me, that was like okay, I won. Like that was the whole point. Like art brings you joy. It's just that you need to believe. Sometimes people need to believe in you, and sometimes you need to just meet them halfway. So yeah,
Okay.
that was one of the things.
That is wonderful. That was a story I didn't expect, honestly. I expected something that would bring me tears, but not because of joy, but this is a wonderful story. Um, so, one question on the creation of that thing. Uh, was it art that created it? Was it joy that led to his joy? What is your reading of the scenario? Because,
For
say if somebody, let me complete. You are an artist, that is one integral part of who you are. But suppose you were not an artist and still your expression was the same. Do you think it would have had the same
me,
impact? Or do you think skill is required even with all the concepts that we give it?
So for me, I think it will be two ways. It comes down to the subject. In a sense, like if I'm someone who is targeting on being around a person of, practical, functional, particular, and for them skill matter. And if I'm targeting an audience or, meeting a person in a sense where it's more about a journey, because I do tend to believe that, as a human being, we are a like double-sided human, like we have a personality. So like for example, that comes down to that. But for me, I personally don't like working with people who don't want to be connected. Like I always felt like if it's not a journey in design, then you don't enjoy it. Like if it just booked, like step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, then I don't like it. I don't enjoy it. But there are people who like the system. I have always been a person who don't follow a system, and I enjoy, non being into that bubble. Okay, you have to go to step 1 and you cannot go to step 2 till the time step 1 is complete. So to answer your question, I think it would have bring him a joy because I knew him. Even though he's tough, he's a person who is kind hearted, So for him, the journey, the story, the experiences matter. So he would enjoy it. But in the same place, if someone, who is just being like a number person or who don't care, who don't want to think too much, like, who would just do it for the sake of name or fame or entertainment, for that person, it would be just another gift, So I do feel it's
No,
compared to
again,
person to person.
yeah, okay. That is the recipient. I'm talking about your, are you saying that your journey and your
Hmm.
keenness to gift him, uh, that kind of helped that thing to happen? Or was it, uh, okay, let me put it this way. Very often we, as artists, sometimes we are only bothered about the monetary part of the engagement. If there has been a fight or something, we are like, let's get this over and let me just get my
Hmm.
money and let me get out of this. It keeps happening sometimes. We live in the real world. There are
Yeah, yeah.
these kind of arguments that happen. Some people change their attitude halfway through a job. Um, and we are also human beings. We are also sensitive to what we are creating, even if it is a very, very straightforward uh, piece of creative that we are doing. So at that time, our love is compromised. Love for the work that we are doing, love for the, because we are only bothered about let's finish this and let him do what he wants with it. Now that is one way to look at a job. You have been talking whatever 2, 3 questions I have had with you right now.
Hmm.
You are very sensitive to your approach to art,
Correct.
uh, which can also be a problem. It's not always a good thing because sometimes you want people to be
I
practical
agree.
whom you are dealing with.
Agree. Agree.
So I'm leaving it open ended for now, not in terms of uh,
Hmm.
to hurt you or something, but the idea is that there are people and there are engagements between them. So on one hand, I like the fact that he was appreciative enough and he gave it time rather than immediately saying, "Oh, wonderful, wonderful," or reacting, "No, I don't like it." Yesterday itself, I had a conversation with, say, two kids of your age and their parents, and my daughter was there, and we were all having this conversation. And the daughters were twins, and they are whatever 21, 22 age group. So one of them kind of handled something with giving it pace. She said,
Hmm.
sometimes you don't need to hurry it up. Let it be. Let's not resolve it right now. They both had a tiff with their parents, and suddenly we were in the middle of it and we were all talking about it. And the other kid said, "No, but this is not fair. This is not fair what you guys are talking. And as adults, you are imposing this on us." Now, these are interactions that come from so many different points of view. Age does not really matter. It is just what kind of people you are. My understanding through the values workshop is to understand what are things that connect us. So my question to you as a creative person is, now you're so sensitive about what you presented. Suppose that thing were not to happen. Suppose you were not to react. Would your gift become lesser to you, or would you still be as happy?
I will be still be happy.
Sorry,
I will be still be happy.
as happy as you were when he sent a message?
No, obviously, because see, so that is again like, for me particularly, it all depend on, see, I will never put in effort if I knew that client don't deserve it, as honesty about it. Because if he has given me a hard time in the whole journey and be like mean to me, being like, whatever, whatever, then obviously I don't want to do extra efforts. Like I'm gonna be like very like do the work person, right? But because I knew him, I know why he was angry. I understood it because, I always want to believe, like, when you do someone's residential project, because that's something in our design field, in an interior field, if you ask, in terms of residential project, people will say, oh, it's such a like painful thing to do. There is no money in it. People keeps on changing because, yeah, it's your house. So like one day I feel blue, one day I feel green. So you need to like entertain me. And on compare to that, when you do like commercial, commercial project or hospitality project, it's just very easy. You do like 3 month flight, you take your money, you bounce, you earn good profit. But I feel as a person, I feel the most joy brings to you is the residential project. The whole bickering, the whole fight, the joy of making someone's home and not an house brings me the joy. So for me, that has been like, there are many scenarios where it's been turned around and been like mean to me because I have gotten hurt in the process because I got too attached to it. So that's there, it's always there, with me, I have experienced, it's always there. Like, you are bound to get hurt, people are bound to say, oh, but sometime when you're creatively designing something, you sometime cross the line. Okay, this was not required, I should have not said it, or this was not required to open your mouth, but you did it because you feel it's your house. So for me, I'm that designer. Like, I will, if I'm doing a job, I want to do it, or else I will not do it. Even the person I've been working with, the person I was doing job for like past 6 years, she has been telling me, listen, you have to be like a more on a practical front, you have to learn to draw a boundary. But I feel it's no fun. I will learn, I'm still learning. I will learn, when a massive thing goes wrong or I lose something big, maybe that's when I'm gonna learn. But till then, now I feel like I want to be creative in lesser practical world. Like, it's okay if you just blindside that little practicality and enjoy, because that's what makes you human. Like, you have your toxic trait to be like proud of. So this is one of mine. Yeah, I would have been lesser happier, but I knew he's going to appreciate it because he was that human. And the person, if I feel like I personally have been doing this thing, whatever project I did with my past firm also. I've always taken the most challenging or the most, hateful client and be like, oh, if they don't love me now, then I failed as a designer. That's the person I have always been. So that's what brings me the joy. That's the most toxic thing I could say it. But yeah, that's what brings me joy. So
So
like, yeah, it would
why
have
would you
been,
call it toxic then?
because if you think from a third perspective, like from a more practical monetary world, it people will say, oh, but they are asking you to buy a dustbin also. Who, which designer is selecting dustbin? And I be like, listen, but I would just want to color code it, no? Like it's black, so like it's okay to just send one link, right? And then if you see, it do puts you in a ground where you lose your professionalism in a sense. Ki, listen, I'm here to do my job, you cannot just put me on speed dial, because as you grow, you have more people to entertain, you have more things to do. That becomes an hassle. That becomes a problem, because people will feel ki, oh, like, vendors start feeling ki, oh, there is no boundary. You're listening to, you are doing such a petty job. Why would you do that? And but for me, it's like, it's not a petty job. It's just that I'm being like, I just want everything as per I can achieve. But I know for a longer time, when you start becoming grow bigger, you cannot do that, because then yeah, then it's just not happening. But so like till the time I can be in this world where I can decide and do things on my own and just be as creatively as possible, that brings me joy. So yeah, it is little toxic, at least for our generation.
Okay, I will reverse that and ask you a question.
Okay.
Okay, there are two questions running in my head, but let me ask you what is directly connected to this first. Why do you have to let it go away this trait if it is working for you and it is touching people's lives? And I would think, say, if you are doing 10 jobs, six, seven, eight are working in your favor, that's why you continue.
Hmm.
See, even because just because we are passionate does not mean we are dumb. We still use our brains.
Correct.
Not that we only think only through the heart. We know how to negotiate. We know how to make people either spend or not spend or whatever that is required at that
Correct.
juncture. Why don't you think like this, that you may get richer clients who are willing to allow you your brand of thought? It might be possible over a period that people will say, like those guys who came to ask who's done this artwork, if somebody among them had the money and the wherewithal and a requirement at that point of time, they may come to you and ask you.
Hmm.
And at that point, they want your madness. No, that is also because in all fields, one does see, specifically creative fields, people have their own styles. Like
Correct.
Van Gogh may have died poor. People look at his style and you know that it is his style.
Yeah,
Uh,
correct.
and today people are people. So you just need to find out the right people for your kind of madness, and perhaps is that
That's
not a way
true.
to look at it?
It has been a way to look at it. So, that's something I'm going to learn now. So, as like I have been associated with the firm for last 6 years to do a job, right? So, at that time, what growth you get is very different than from when you start doing it. So, it is a thing like, when you're associated to a brand or anything, eventually, whatever project you do, it always come down as the brand did it, even the people who knew it, but it's a brand did it, right? So, now when I'm trying to do things on my own. Like now I'm gonna now I'm freelancing. Now I'm gonna sit and do my own thing. That's when I will learn, the actual thing, like do people like it? Because when you associated with someone and you're doing it, people like it, people feel, oh, she's gonna do it, even though there is someone top of it. Like, so if I do something wrong, there is someone who is gonna top of me to figure it out for me to do the madness. But when you have to do the madness on your own name, your practicality do comes, because the finance come into the picture, the timelines come into the picture, and you as a person and your ground rules, your thing, everything has to be justified. So that's something I feel now I will learn. I'm not against it. I've always been thoughtful about, I want to have my own personality, and I always dream to have a firm which is like multidisciplinary design field. It's not only Shabrin or it's not only interior design. I always want to branch out and be a person who collaborate with other designer. Like if I feel this person is like doing great product, so like why don't bring him in and just collaborate. So I want to have that kind of a dream. So let's just hope it happen with time.
We shall talk about all of that off
But yeah,
camera.
I do want to like be the person whose personality be intact.
Uh, you worked for 6 years. There's been a
Hmm.
certain kind of growth, I'm sure. I'm asking this question because creatives generally, the problem is there is very easy branding of people. अरे ये तो
Correct.
ऐसा ही है, ये तो बहुत सुपर्ब लिख लेता है, ये तो बहुत मस्त
Yeah,
डिजाइनर
yeah.
है, ऐसा कुछ होता नहीं है. You're sitting on the drawing board, you really know. Sometimes you struggle more than the some other people that they know of, or sometimes more than normal as well. So, what has been the growth in these 6 years? How has your art changed you, and how have you changed your art? Uh,
Hmm.
because as a person, also you've grown. Because uh, coming from a field of art is one aspect of you. As a human being, there are other experiences. Good things happen to you, bad things happen to you. How has that influenced your art, and how have you learned from it?
So for me, I started working when I was in my second year of college.
Okay.
And I started working out of just a friendly bet of me getting a job.
Okay.
And I ended up working with that one particular firm for 6 years and learned like everything from being an intern to, like progressing myself to a design head. So for me, I've been a person initially when I joined, like, because my
Hmm.
growth of work and my personality has gone hand in hand.
Yeah.
When I joined, I was like a very like chill out person who is young, so I want to do everything. I don't want to miss out on my friends, like I don't want
Yeah.
to miss out. I want to do everything, and I've always been person, whose friendship comes first in a sense. Like I want to plan a party, I want to plan a birthday, I want to be there for family, I want to do everything. So when I eventually joined a job, a internship, and I have been said this to my boss also one time. I had a very fun growth because I did everything, and that really helped in my favor. I started as an intern where I did fabric selections. Like I still remember my first day. I was given a drawing to do and to go and hunt for a fabric, which I'm like completely 100% clueless about because I don't know how to do any software. And that 2 month, I did everything which is not related to interior drawing. I did everything which was related to interior styling. In a sense, just learn about fabric, learn about just what is happening, how do you shoot, like interior shoots and all. And I did nothing particular hardcore interior. And then when the 2 month ended, my boss just said, like, like, do you wanna like do part-time? And like I'm like, yeah, why not? I will be cool, college, like who has a job to do while doing a college. So I did it out of that. Like that's the honest answer. I said yes to her, thinking, oh, I only have to work 2 days a week. That too, she's ready to like adjust. And I be like, so cool. Like, in college, you have a job at this school firm. So I said yes to her. And I did nothing but social media for her. Interior social media, which is again nothing related to your field. Like, you are not constructing, you're doing social media, you're just meeting people, you're understanding brands in general. And that's how I just worked with her for a year. Then comes the lockdown. Then because my college third year ended in lockdown, so I still remember the same. We finished our paper, and post 2 days there was this announcement like you cannot move out of your house and everything like that. So that's that, and then and then again, I just be like, my boss again said like now what? Because I had taken a break because I said I'm gonna prepare for my jury. And then in the whole time as a person, obviously my change happened as in terms of my perspective toward work, my perspective toward life changed because from being a person who don't want to do anything or who just want to chill out, become a person, oh no, now I have to plan my Saturday. I have to be a little more planner, like, because the Saturdays I have to go into a job. I learned multitasking, like, doing a job, managing your friendship, still doing your college work. I learned that, the trade of multitasking in a general. And then again, when you move ahead, when the lockdown hit and you were doing a job, and as a designing, when my boss said like, oh, do you want to do like full-time job? But she was being very hard on me in terms of teaching me. So she said, you want to do this one layout, because I was very wrong and very bad at doing like drawings in general, because I've not learned it in, like, because I was third year in college. And then because she was so tough on me, I did that one particular house layout for more than 48 times. I still have each layout with me. And then she said, okay, fine, I hire you, chalo, let's give it a try. And she has always been a person who said, oh, like, okay, you're doing fine, learn, 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 learn. And then when you do an hardcore job and the people around you, when you see, okay, listen, if you're not great at it, there are like 10 100 people who are going to be like better than you. That's really hit you at a point where you learn ki it's true, like, if you don't do your job properly, there are going to be other people who will do better than you. And that's just then that just completely change your perspective in life. Ki, oh, how's your growth, how your thing is going. And that's something, where I started realizing your friend time, your this time, that time, your me time, you start reducing, because you start becoming a person, where who is like struggling, who want to be better at it, who want to be like at good books with boss, who want to be great, who, like. And that's the time when like I realized like my friends were struggling to find a job, and I had a job because of the past. And that was like, as a person, you get a little boosting nature. Oh, like, oh, I have done it, so now I have a job, I don't have to figure out, because they were really struggling. And that's when the first perspective was to like make believe your boss, you're good at it. And from that, it become a rebelliousness, or you can say a competitive nature with around your surrounding. Oh, you want to be competitive now, like you are great at the firm you're working at. And that started developing because I was never that person. I was never the person who want to be like top in the college, who want to do like better than other. I was always been like, okay, I'm getting past, no, I'm happy, because I know I have always, as I told you, I believe in practical learning. I'm like, okay, I'm learning now, so I'm gonna use it. And that's what started happening. And from there, she gave me another project. And that's when, okay, I'm like, okay, now I've done something great, because now I have two projects. I had to struggle getting one. From two, it becomes three, then three, it becomes four. And I started growing from junior to senior. Then she made me a design head. So design head was like a big, this fancy title to get a 24-year-old, which really made me struggle eventually, because I still remember last 2022, I handed over every year, and I learned so much multitasking, team building. And as I started growing and as you get more responsibility from being a senior, where you had to think about your growth. And when you become senior, you have to think about that one little intern you have hired, क्योंकि उसको भी सिखाना पड़ता है, खुद को भी सीखना है, उसको भी सिखाना है. Then from that, when you become like a team leader, where you become a designer, and now you have like 6 person under you. And the fact that first month of me doing that title, I'm like, how am I supposed to work? Because the whole day goes into giving them work. And I'm a big crier. Even though I think even if I become like huge, I'm gonna cry. And that's something I be very proud of. I keep on telling people. And I remember crying my eyes out and I telling her, how am I supposed to work? They just take up my time, and she's like, listen, this is your job. Your job is to make people work, not you work. Your work is now changed. Like, you learn this thing, and then I'm like, okay, so my work is not me doing anything. I don't have to make phone calls, I have to make them do the phone calls. And that was such a shocker for me. I'm like, okay, first you did the job, then you taught the job, now you're just monitoring the job. Okay, and then as you grow big, you become different, this was all good part. Now, on the contrary, your personal life become a problem if you don't know how to settle. Your mom, dad are upset. You are never showing up on time. Your health goes for a toss, because you have become in your head become this person who just want to make the name, who want to be doing all this fancy thing. your friendship has gone for a toss because now you don't show up on birthday, now you don't plan a party, now you don't do anything. Your friendship become a questionable thing. Everyone is questioning you. Are you even there? Do you even care? And then you are like, Are but listen, I'm just trying to do this because I want to be at this thing, my dreams. And then I'm like, this is just not happening because you are achieving everything. You may be here in your people's eye, but emotionally I was here with my friendships and like just family and your me time and everything. So I think you have to take a pick. I have realized this hard way and I'm still learning it. I just told you I don't do system. I never felt like a system helped me as a human to design or be creative or be anything. So wherever you are at, you have to take your pick. Okay, this is going to bring me joy, you take that. But if that thing stops bringing you joy, then you have to rethink about it. So yeah, so I have
Beautiful.
learned a
Sorry.
lot, but I lost also in that thing. I got confused. I didn't learn the balance.
That's a beautiful story. That's a beautiful story. Lot of questions, but one immediate question is, was there a point where you realized that the success was getting to your head and you were losing out on the things that you wanted to do with your friends or your family? Or was it a gradual thing?
I know there was a point where I felt ki I am. Matlab, I think I knew I'm doing it wrong, but I knew I wanted to do it.
Okay.
And
When
that
was
took
this?
me,
When was this?
this I recently realized because, I think it took me time to say it out loud. Ki I knew it. Ki, listen,
Okay.
I'm hurting you. I knew it, but I chose to hurt you because I wanted to do something for myself because I was enjoying it. Because that enjoyment do end up hurting someone close to you because you didn't show up. But at that particular time, I was just trying to defend it.
Okay.
Oh, I wanted to show up, but this came up, that came up. I wasn't aware about it, or like you come up with excuses because you just want to neutralize the
Hurt.
excuse. You just, like you just want to neutralize the pain or hurt, or you just come up with it. Ki that person should let go, you know. But now I do tend to accept it, and I did accept it to the people. I did whatever, and I'd be like, listen, I knew it. It's just that I chose that thing at that time. So that was something I learned. But yeah, you do tend to believe like it's very difficult to balance. The people who can balance, hands down, kudos to them. I can't.
Okay. No, no. One question. We are not run out of this question yet. So, what gave you the confidence that you could go back to your loved ones or whosoever you had hurt in the past
Hmm.
because of your work life? What gave you the confidence that you could go and talk to them and tell them the truth that you knew? Because it is not an easy thing.
Hmm. I think it was them only. It's just that when I decided to not continue in general, you know, and matlab, for me to not continue, it was been like, oh, I'm gonna leave my job. It's been like for
No,
a year.
sorry,
I am not that person.
not continue your job.
Like continue like this,
I've lost your audio. Huh,
your voice break. Sorry.
huh, huh.
Can you repeat?
Okay. My question is, what gave you the confidence to go back to the people you loved and admit that you were deliberately wrong?
I think it was two things. One, I knew for the longest time the work culture or the lifestyle I was in is toxic in a sense for my own self. Like, because
Yeah.
if, see, I do tend to believe, like, one person saying, oh, this is not healthy. But if everyone you really look up to and they start telling you this is not healthy, you're not doing correct, look at your own health. And, when your health starts suffering, When you yourself start feeling, yo, I cannot show up today because I just don't want to. As I told you, like, if your happiness change is when you realize ki it's not gonna happen. At secondary, when it was happening, the people whom I hurt or whatever, they stayed there, is the reason I could, like, again show up for the third time and be like, listen, this was the honesty of it. And this, like, I was, whatever thing was going through my head, the whole competition, or you want to be great at, or you want to be do this and that. But the honesty is like, the people who matter to you, they will stay, and they only bring you the confidence of just admitting to it that I was wrong.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Uh, it's a good episode so far, considering that this element doesn't get covered very often. Most people are either talking when they've reached a successful position and they are at peace with it, or else when they are struggling. But this whole process from struggle to becoming a hero and then realizing maybe this is what you want or what you do not want uh, is rarely spoken about, specifically in your age, because there's still the rat race is quite appealing. It's not for everyone who is willing to give it up. Did your realization lead to professional conflicts as well? Because till yesterday, I could trust you. You will pick up the call at 11 in the night and still keep on talking to me for another 45 minutes. I've done this, but I have the advantage of when I joined this particular client that I have a retainer with. I had put down my conditions and they had agreed to all of them. And over a period, I realized that I needed to wrap up pretty quickly in the night. I used to tell them, you just have to tell me what you want. You will get it first thing in the morning.
Hmm.
So because my good time to work was 7 to 9 in the morning, where nobody in the world wanted me, and I knew what I wanted to do with the job. It gave me a lot of peace and calm and good time to be fresh with my approach to what I wanted to do. Yet it was because of my seniority. I could tell you, don't call me tomorrow, or don't call me in the morning, and you have to finish by 9 in the night. You have to tell me what you want to do, or 10 in the night, or something like that. So I could lay down the rules. Initially, it was difficult for them because my client was
Hmm.
in the events business. In events, though, everything is going wrong all the time. If
Yeah,
you
that's true.
and they were like, you're not available. Then I also made some provision for them. If it is very, very important and really you're going through a bad time tonight, so I'll do it for you. But if the client is not buying into it and continues to make changes on the next day also, then I'll be like, there is hell coming for you. I'll really tell it to you. They do not make me work unless it's really required. So it set the balance for me. My question to you, to do that, I had the authority. Thankfully, the bosses were known to me, so everybody else had to toe the line. In your case, you were an upstart in a way. You went from the lowest position to the highest in the same firm. How did you manage to strike the balance in your professional life at that point?
I did not.
Oh my God. Then
That's the honesty. I did not do it. For me, like, how people say, like, if you hold something too much, that's also wrong. That was how my job was. Because I kept it so much, I couldn't let go firstly. And then when I let go also, then, the whole thing, that person were there for you. Because I come from that upbringing or that mentality, like, if someone has put in so much into me, it's my, like, hak to give them
responsibility.
back. Like, but after a point, people were like, everyone told me this until date. Listen, that person has just taught you, if it was not for you, it would have been someone else, because it's always two-way street. You learn because you wanted to learn. There would have been a person who would have not learned because you didn't, that person didn't wanted to show up. So for me, I'm like, yeah, I agree, but like, but still, like, I cannot just say, like,
I'm not available.
yeah, like, I'm not available. I tried. I'm not gonna say I didn't try. I tried, but I honestly didn't succeed because I also do come from a nature where, who feels like, okay, this particular thing I can finish in this discussion when it's happening and just close it and then just sleep. It's much more peaceful for me than waking up tomorrow morning and then addressing it. Like, I am that person. So that do come as a problematic situation. Honestly, she did say to me, make a boundary, tell this, that, whatever, whatever. But then, she also comes from a nature who is little like, will pick up and give you a call at 12, 11. And you are also come from a nature who picks up a call in 11. But the only thing I did do, I reduced the client call. I didn't reduce my boss call. I reduced the client call. I just told them, listen, don't call me after 7:30 or 8 o'clock, please. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you because you put me in more stress. Than she putting me, you put me in more stress. So that's the only thing I did, but I did not achieve it. I did not achieve the balance.
Okay. Is that not toxic then? Forget others.
Very.
I'm saying, how will you achieve the pause? At your age, if you're burning out so fast, these are experiences. Okay, it's good that you got the job before your friends did, but the struggle is part of the joy
Hmm.
of the victory. In your case, if one were to say that you got it easy, so you're struggling later, which is also how life works. Okay, but how much do you are you willing to punish yourself for having succeeded? Life,
Oh,
yeah,
matlab,
because
finish it. You finish it.
sorry, I want to provoke you a little further on this.
Hmm.
Say, health and life cannot be trusted. All of us are fragile. At any point, we may not see tomorrow, or we may not wake up well tomorrow, because we've chosen the wrong habits, which may be stressful, which may be toxic. Is that not part of who you are, along with being a designer and a good professional and wanting to deliver? And my nature is like this. I want to give the best. Do you not think that you should address your health and your mental health concerns, because it does lead to a lot of stress over a period of
Hmm.
time? Why is it not as important? This is a wonderful topic that is being covered actually.
It is important. So eventually, when I realized it, this has gotten me into a very extremely toxic culture of my own habit.
Yeah,
Forget your friends, family,
true.
anything, because I feel forget everyone. If you can't show up, if you can't be happy
Yeah,
and you don't enjoy the process, you cannot look at yourself into the mirror and be happy and be proud of yourself. Whatever people say, oh, you have done 15 projects, this project, that project, this magazine, that project, but you cannot be happy. That was the point when I felt no. I just I like Shabrin, just listen. Something is wrong. You need to fix it. If that mean you need to coming out of it and starting from scratch or even whatever, you have to do it. But you have to do it. So that contemplation happened because oh, you have a responsibility. You are at this position. Who is going to cover up for you? And then you come from a culture of FOMO, like where people just fear missing everything and what people are going to say. And I do like to believe this and I accept it now. I do tend to get extreme. I'm a people's person in general. Like, I want people to be happy. I want people to be like satisfied. I want people to remember me as a good person. They should not hate me. Oh, what I'm going to do with my friends doing this thing and I'm here leaving my job after all that contemplation of everything. Okay, maybe I'm going to be little slow now because you have been learning to be at into 4x speed or whatever, what I'm gonna tell my mom, dad about it. Suddenly, when entire world was telling you, leave the job, figure out, you chose to rebel. But now, sudden realization is happening, no, I want to leave. I want to sit. After all that crying and everything, just it was just like, okay, now I have to talk. And I spoke to her and I tell her, okay, like, listen, I want to move out, you know, and like I took a break. Like I'm on a break right now. For the people who don't know, like I did tell them, like I'm on a break. And I remember everyone asked me one thing: what's the plan? Why are you leaving a job now when you are at this good position? Now you want to leave when we were telling you didn't want to leave. And I'm like, yeah, but now I want to leave. Every person I know, they ask me why now, why not then, when everyone was telling you don't leave at this position. And I remember even to the person when I put in my resignation, my paper and everything, and she didn't accepted it. Like, because she like, no, like, what are you saying? Just take a 1 week a break and come, you will get all fine and all that thing. And I'm like, no, I want to just go. And she's like, okay, so are you planning to do on your own thing? Do you want to do your own firm? And I still remember telling her this thing. No. She said, okay, so you got a better offer? I said, no. And she said, okay, so like, what's the plan? Like, what's the game plan? You don't want to go for a good offer. You don't want me to give you a good offer. You don't want to start your own thing. Then what's your plan? I said, I am going to do nothing. And I remember telling her, like, I want to do nothing. And she's like, what do you mean? And I said, like, I just went back and I'd be like, if today I am telling you, ki at this position, at this given time, I cannot show up and I cannot do something, being a person who worked till 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock, even in the morning, and being extremely ambitious about everything in life, I cannot do it. There is no planning, there is no scheduling, there is no route or map of my success right now. I just don't want to do it. Just imagine how much upset or stressed or what position I would be in mentally to come to you today and tell you this thing. And I just said this to her, and she looked at me and she's like, okay. And then, you know, it was just like, it was just a moment for me where I just said it to the world. There is no plan. Stop asking me. I don't know it. I just don't know it. I'm going to do something. Like, even there are days where I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? Because, from being into the most fast paced life, you have gone to a pace where you have this whole lot of time to do everything for yourself and for the people you want to. What are you going to do? Like, even I got like 3 days back this one call from this one person. Think, listen, do you wanna we got to know you left this firm, like, do you wanna do the job? Like, we have been asking you to like, this, we will give you this money and all that thing. And I'm like, listen, I don't want to do anything. I just don't want to do it. I'm like, listen, if I'm not happy, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to show up. To accept that, even to your friends, took me a lot of time to just, it took me so much time to not cry and say the sentence, I don't want to do anything. Like, I just don't want to do anything and I want to be at peace. It took me time because I used to cry every time someone used to say, why you are leaving? I'm like, I'll start crying. Like, the jharnas will start flowing. And I'm like, listen, I can't explain you. I just don't want to do anything. So I think, it do comes to a point where you start feeling your own life when you start taking it seriously. I'm not going to say I don't take that seriously. I do take the mental health, the peace, the calmness, and everything seriously. But again, as I said, I have not found the balance. Like, what my balance is like, that day, the day before I met you, like, and you went. And I was having discussion with the people who were there in the room. And I told them, like, like today, like 2 days back, I was having this whole meltdown. I want to do this, I want to work out, I want to do gym, I want to go and do the party, and then I want to work, then I want to do my own name. Like, what is my multidisciplinary, this fairness dream look like? I'm doing my own house and this, that, and then I want to do Netflix and chill also. So how do you find the time? Like, And I don't want to wake up early in the morning. And don't tell me to wake up 6 o'clock and then start your day and then do, because I'm the, like, and then, while I was talking all that, I realized, it's a big part of a human being of sacrificing, which I need to learn. Because, when people say you can have it all, yeah, you can have it all, but you sacrifice something, in the
Precisely.
unscenario, return, like non-return thing. If you think you do sacrifice something, you cannot have it all. You do sacrifice it, just that of the matter of fact that you start reading it. What am I sacrificing? Is it lesser important thing for me or not? I recently saw this interview of Priyanka Chopra giving this advice or something, be greedy. I did this flight to that flight to, went to this flight. It's a very popular meme, the reel, sorry, where people, about where how she flew from one country to another country, and from there she attended this, that, something. Yeah, you could do that. A, you are rich. B, you did sacrifice your sleep, right? Because the other interview, you went ahead and said you sleep 8 hours. How did you sleep 8 hours that day? You did not, right? So you sacrifice something. So when you start reading the sacrifice part of your life, you understand ki what's important and what's not. So that's something I'm gonna learn now. Yeah.
I
And I
wish
think I lost
I
the
could.
question.
No, I wish I had a lot of more questions to ask, but
Mhm.
I think our guests need to be given time to take this all in. There's a lot of information, and thank you so much. I am so overwhelmed that I do not have the right words to thank you for it. But
I am also glad.
you have really covered a lot of ground, and I've been waiting for somebody from your age group to talk to people of your age group. Unfortunately, I am very successful with people of my age group. And when I started this, I wanted to reach out to people who were 16 to 24 or 25 and talk about values and stuff like that. But you've given a practical lesson, like you've been talking about, that you've always believed in practical learning. Remarkable story, remarkable journey. I'm very happy for you. Thank you so much for giving time today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
I'm glad you had me so I could talk.
Yes, I am very glad that you spoke with so much of authenticity and openness. Most people get very secretive about the hard part of their journeys, but you were quite liberal in coming out with the successful part of your journey and as well as the tough part of your journey. So there are a lot of other people who may watch it, and I'm glad that they are going to get the lessons that they are going to get. Thank you so
I'm
much.
glad. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.